Content warning. This podcast is the rebel of the airways. If you blush easily, you might want to listen with your eyes closed. Your episode starts in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to our first ever episode of the Lusty Library podcast, the place where we drink all the cocktails and talk about cocks. I'm this episode's host, Joey, and in the room with me, I have two of the dirtiest dames you can ever imagine.
You can't prove it.
Oh, I have receipts, ladies. To my right, I have the always infallible weapon of mass destruction, Birdie.
I love that intro. Oh my God, thank you so much.
And this is what happens when you don't pre-write anything down and just have it come to your head.
I love it.
And to my left, the only fully functioning adult in the room, Lex.
I'm just here to talk us out of things. Well, not so much talk us out of things, but, you know, when we get into trouble, use my words, to talk us out of the trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we keep you around.
Yeah. Never get caught.
Great.
Of course. Now, we are going to surrender our V-cards. We're going to pop a cherry. We're going to deflower this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I've run out of analogies.
Already?
Yes,
All right.
but I am so excited about this first episode and the first book we all got to read. We're going to be discussing today Butcher Blackbird by Brynne Weaver.
So good.
In case you live under a rock and have never heard about this book, let me give you the summary from Amazon.com. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Sloane and Rowan, they find themselves something elusive: the friendship of two like-minded, pitch black souls who just happen to enjoy killing other serial killers. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California and downtown Boston to rural Texas, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. Can Rowan and Sloane dig themselves out of a game of graves? Or have they finally met their match?
Every time I read that, I'm like, okay, yeah, that is the book, but it's so much funnier than that.
Yeah. It's always interesting to me to hear how a book is translated from the summary to your head and how it actually reads. I think Brynne deserves way more credit than that synopsis.
So this has been in my wish list for the longest time. I can't believe I was able to go without reading this book, but it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
I'm all excited. And of course, we cannot have this podcast without our fancy little cocktails that go along with this episode.
Oh, okay.
Today's cocktail in honor of Sloane's visit to Rowan's Restaurant 3 and Coach. We will be drinking frozen cucumber margaritas. I know we've already had a couple of sips. Ladies, what do you think?
Chunky.
I hate it. I hate it.
Will you drink it, though?
I'm going to choke it down. Like, I can
I
choke
heard
down
that
a
about
lot
you.
of things, but I'm going to drink it. It's got alcohol in it, but blended cucumber is apparently not my thing.
Yeah.
It's very much akin to semen.
Oh,
And like, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, if I'm feeling like real kinky, I'll swallow it. But like, I'm just saying it's not really like my favorite thing to swallow. Okay.
and usually I'm a girl who has no problem licking the rim. I do not want to lick this rim.
You went there.
I did.
This is a spicy rim for you.
Yeah, it's a little too much. Too
Wait.
much rim.
Are you telling me there's something in this world that's too spicy for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And it is the rim of this cocktail. Please make sure you visit our website and our social media pages for this recipe. Maybe you can try it on your own. Tell us what we did freaking wrong so that we can try it again and maybe it's better for round 2. So let's dive into this amazing book. Page 1 of this book starts with an entire gigantic list of trigger warnings. I need to know, did these trigger warnings scare you and make you want to close the book and put it away?
No, they made me want to read it more.
Yeah. I'm like, what? It's got this. It's got that. Sit there like with a checklist as you're reading.
Oh, yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Yeah, we call it trigger warning bingo. It's like every time you hit that trigger warning in a book, you're like, got it.
There it is.
Check. Found it.
Accidental cannibalism. Check.
What does that say about us, though, right? Are we that desensitized to all these that we're like, oh, I want to read this book more?
Yes, but also like fucked up bitches of the world. Come on down. You're in the right place.
A little bit sick, a little bit twisted, a little bit naughty, right?
Yeah.
Can I just say a little bit free? There you go.
Oh, yeah.
We're open-minded individuals.
You know.
Mhm.
And she put such a great twist on these trigger warnings, right? That it was almost like enticing. It was like she was baiting you
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah.
this accidental cannibalism. You're like, what the fuck does that mean? I need to know.
She knows what she's doing.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. Like if you're into this, you read these first 2 pages and you are into it. If you're not into this, you're immediately like, okay, great. Thanks for the trigger warnings, Brynne Weaver. I really appreciate it. I'm going to put this book down now. But for the hundreds of thousands of you that turned this book into a viral book for a reason, you read this and you said, great. Now I'm playing bingo.
Oh, yeah. I just devoured this book. Couldn't read it fast enough. Couldn't get it in my brain fast enough. I was putting down things that I was working on, going like, okay, I can sneak in some time here. You had that, Birdie.
Yeah.
You texted us.
Yeah. I was literally like, okay, I have 5 minutes while I'm drinking coffee before I go to work, and I'm going to read the book now, which normally I wouldn't bother doing that because, like, you can't really get into a book that quickly. Like, okay, you read 3 pages, but who the fuck cares? You're going to have to read those 3 pages again next time you sit down for 5 minutes. Not in this case. It read fast. It read easy. It read loose. No, it read really, really, really easily. So you could just pick it up for a few minutes and read it and put it down and keep going without going back.
But you clearly knew you dedicated 3 minutes and you were going to go for 10.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, sure. Yeah, I was late to work a lot. And I also got like way less sleep because I was just reading. And speaking as somebody who's recently coming out of a period of severe sleep deprivation from having a baby, let me tell you that is actually the highest compliment that I can possibly give Brynne Weaver. Like, dear Brynne, you made me stay up later. Loved your book. Thanks. Birdie.
Now, these ladies know that I am kind of an audiobook junkie. I am a multitasker. I hate washing dishes, but when you're listening to a book like this while you're washing dishes, it makes it that much more enjoyable. So we actually had a meeting for this podcast as I had an hour left in the book and I kept looking at the clock going, are we done? I have to go. I have an hour left to go. I must finish this book. So I got to give a huge shout out. These narrators were absolutely amazing. The female narrator was crazy. Just the confidence she exuded really followed Sloane. And the male narrator, thank you for many of wet dreams that you gave me from listening to your Irish accent on this.
I'm regretting not listening to the audiobook now. Do I need to go back?
I read it. I didn't listen to the audiobook. It was on my Kindle.
Oh my God, that may have to be like your birthday gifts this year, where I take this book and gift it to you. I will send you a little gift box with candles and batteries so that you can prepare.
And a box of orzo. So I think, Joey, you had asked us like, oh, what's a warning that you would give somebody before reading this book? Because there are so many trigger warnings. And I was just like, yeah, don't start reading this book while you're eating dinner or lunch or breakfast or literally anything. The end.
There's no orzo in our futures, our collective futures. And should you choose to read this also,
you will understand why.
Yeah, you will not be having your cute lemon orzo pasta salad this summer. No, you won't. No, you won't. Okay.
I actually had orzo pasta last week.
You fucking psycho.
You're a monster.
But she did fuck cookies and cream ice cream up for me. I went to the grocery store and I was like,
The way
"Can't do
you
it."
said that sounds like you're going to say she fucked cookies and cream ice
Yes.
cream.
That's what I thought you were going
And
to
then I
say
was
too.
like, did I miss something in the book? No,
Yeah.
just let her finish her sentence.
Yeah, no, it makes me like borderline gag thinking, "Bleh."
Yeah, no, I
Ugh.
was fine with that. The
Mm.
ice cream, yeah, all messed up for
It's
me.
true. I actually think the ice cream is worse than the orzo. Now that we're talking through it, like I feel lightheaded thinking about the ice cream.
Because the orzo is just a metaphor for the maggots crawling across the floor. And she's like, oh, it looks like orzo. The cookies and cream is a different realm altogether.
Yeah.
And speaking from what I was just talking about in terms of me not enjoying the texture of cucumber blended and its relationship to semen, I'm just going to throw it out there. Obviously, I'm gagging thinking about this.
Oh, sweet baby
Gross.
Jesus.
I know that some guys like gagging, but I don't. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I may have to take
Anyways.
a pause from ice cream for a little
Bingo.
bit in life. So let's talk a little bit about the main characters, right? So we have the female character, Sloane. What did we think about her?
I almost wrote the bitch off on page 1.
Why is that?
Because she fucking got herself into a fucking locked cage. And then, well,
So, okay, sometimes you're in a situation and you just don't have all the angles covered. I think that's where she was. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't fuck up by accident.
yeah.
She usually plans very well. And you get that when you go further on in the book, that this was like a very unusual circumstance.
Right. Like, and I guess I didn't really think she was a damsel in distress. I just thought she was fucking stupid.
You're like, but for the book to start off like that, and you're like, oh, you just stamped a guy in the neck, and before he completely died, he threw and locked you in a cage. Yeah. You're like, this is not going to go in the right direction.
No, like, how you gonna get out of this one, you dumb bitch? And then I thought she was even dumber because, like, yeah, as much as I don't like a damsel in distress, then she was like, oh, this guy fucking walks into the room to save my ass. And I'm like, no, don't save me. What?
Damaged. She's damaged. She would rather fucking die than have somebody help her.
But I don't think it's a damage thing. I think it's a pride thing. Like, I think it's firmly that this guy is not going to save me. I don't need you to save me. I will figure my way out, even though I've been stuck here for 3 days.
I was about to say, after the 3-day mark, no, it's something deeper than pride.
I mean, eventually the maggots could have brought the key that the guy had around his neck over to her. Either that or she was having like delusions of that happening.
True.
And I think the fact that he was so pretty kind of throws you off, right? Here's this really pretty guy that comes in to save you, and you're like, yeah, I don't need you.
I could feel the disgusting, like, slime and sweat and grossness and the stench on my own body. And thinking of seeing somebody that hot in front of me while I was that gross, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, honey. Oh, I'm so sorry. I want to take a
Cosmic
shower
level
for you.
embarrassment.
So
Yeah.
embarrassing and so mortifying. Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
they didn't even need to go on Match.com or anything to find somebody with their like interests. They just had to go chase the same guy, technically, right?
So true.
So there was no online profile needed, you know, get locked in a cage, kill a serial killer, and then she gets to meet another serial killer.
They have such a charming meet cute.
Oh.
What did we think of Sloane? I want to be her? Question mark?
Why is there a question mark on that? I think it should be moved to exclamation point.
She's a murderer?
As long as you can get away with it.
I don't want to be Sloane, but she can be my best buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I want her on my team.
Mm.
You know, she's on my zombie team.
Right. Zombie apocalypse team, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I want to go to a bar and have drinks with her.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be my wingman, you know.
Yeah. I want her to pick out a handmade pocket knife for me on Etsy and send it to me for Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Wouldn't
That would be
it?
amazing.
That's so
I love that
dreamy.
gift.
Yeah.
Just from the heart or to put into somebody else's heart. What do we think about Rowan? Do we think dark, dreamy?
Rowan's so hot. Love me a good Bostonian Irishman. Come on.
He seemed realistically hot too.
Yeah.
Like, you know how a lot of these books, they describe men like rippling abs and stuff. And it's just like, fucking hell, another guy with rippling abs. Like, I'm so sick of hearing about this. But like the way that Brynne describes him, I was like, okay, yeah, like he's beautiful, but he's also got a scar above his lip. And like he seems a little bit damaged also, which I just thought was like, okay, this is kind of a realistic guy.
What the fuck do you have against rippling abs, girl? What the hell?
When was the last time you've seen real rippling abs? Like, why does it? It's not that I have a problem with it. It's just like, why is it always got to be rippling abs?
Do you think it's lazy?
Yes.
Okay.
Lazy writing. I've seen it more than once.
Yeah.
It should only ever be once, maybe twice. It can't be the whole like you put a monkey in a room and eventually he'll write Shakespeare. So like all these writers have never read somebody else writing rippling abs before. No, they fucking read it somewhere else and now they're going to write it again. But no, not Brynne Weaver. Not Brynne. Her descriptions are unique and beautiful flowers every single time.
That was one of the charms of the book. It doesn't feel like she just pulled these catchphrases out of a jar and went, okay, insert on page 30, rippling abs when he lifts his shirt.
Okay, can I just say that appearance aside, I love a guy with a skill. Oh my God. And not only is this guy a skilled murderer, he's a skilled chef.
Competency kink.
What is it?
Competency kink.
Oh, I have a competency kink.
Yes, you do.
Is that what it's called?
No, I think she has a chef kink.
Oh, I also have a chef kink. Yeah.
In conversations, I think I just realized now you like a man who can cook for you.
Oh, yeah.
And then cook you.
Cook for me, daddy.
Oh my, I think I'm blushing over here.
I mean, like, talk to me about emulsification. How evenly are you dicing that?
I will say I do get turned on by a man who can use a knife like that. Like if you ever watch them chop or cut or julienne or really just those even slices and how quickly they go. And then they have the sleeves to their chef coat rolled up to their forearm.
Oh, a rolled up sleeve.
How the hell did we just get here?
A forearm?
Oh. Especially if it's got tattoos all over it.
Oh, yep. And he has tattoos, right?
Yeah.
He has tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what did we think about the chemistry the two of them had?
Oh, so good. The banter. Love the banter. So yes, they think each other's hot. That's great. And, you know, they're not atypical pretty and they're both finding that attractive. But it's also that they're connecting like through their humor, through their hobby.
Yep.
You know, it's funny because when you were talking about before that they didn't have to go onto an app to find their person, I was like, yeah, you know, it's that good advice. Find somebody who's into the same hobby as you. You know, then you've always
serial
killing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, but I loved the chemistry because that's what drove the book was the chemistry.
Totally. It makes you feel like you're in a high school romance. Like it makes you feel that giggly, like, oh my God, when's he going to text her next on their burner phone?
Oh, the texts were so good.
They were so good.
Very engaging. Like I've seen that trick used several times in writing and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And this was so good though.
It was.
Relevant to the story, moved it forward.
It really did. And it was clever, very cleverly written. But I actually realized I made a huge error. I need to go back and maybe read the book again because, and maybe you guys didn't do this either, but like she had like this whole playlist that goes with the book.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's in my notes.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't listen to the playlist. Did you guys listen to the playlist?
I listened to some of the playlists because I looked at the playlist. So trigger warnings and then you see the playlist. And I was being a music nerd. I was sitting there looking at it going like, oh yeah, I love Joywave. Fantastic. You know, several of the people on the list are groups I listen to and artists I listen to. And I'm like, yes, I love this list.
I mean, this is a 3-book series, right? So she gonna have a playlist for every one of the books too, you think?
Oh, yeah. Because it's very inspiring.
I'm gonna have to, like, maybe I'll just do the first one just to get I don't have time to read this book again. I have a 1-year-old. But I will do the first chapter. Yeah,
Or
I'd never seen that before.
I can take notes for you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and report back.
Thanks.
Great. So I'll put it in PDF form and then print it and
Thank
bind
you.
it. And then while you're in the bath, you can
Thanks.
have a read.
Thanks so much. I don't shower anymore. I have a 1-year-old.
Oh, I knew something funky was happening on that side of the room.
There's some funk.
So at what point in the book did you realize you were hooked, where you knew there was no turning back, that this book was going to get finished?
Chapter 2. No, seriously, because like you got the format. So one chapter is Sloane, one chapter is Rowan, and seeing both perspectives, and just in those first 2 chapters, seeing the dynamic of the writing, dynamic of the characters, the way the story was going. It was wicked intriguing. It was wicked engaging. I was there. And I don't know if that just makes me easy for this book, but
No, I actually am not kidding. She had me at the trigger warning page.
Really?
I just thought it was super fun. And maybe it's because I'm a total noob to all of this. And like maybe other people do trigger warning pages, but like I'm the person who stopped reading 50 Shades of Grey at page 5 and could not continue onward. Like, I'm not just here for a dick. I'm here to read some good words. I cannot read bad writing. I'm going to just say it right there. She had me at page 1.
Nice.
how about you?
So I enjoyed the book. It really was flowing rather well. But the point where Sloane and Rowan are in West Virginia and they're sitting in the lobby of the hotel, and the banter that the 2 of them had, all of a sudden I had a gigantic vested interest in these people. I'm like, oh shit, you 2 are fucking adorable. I want you to run away and join the circus together, be happy for the rest of your lives, have little babies that wear dinosaur pajamas all the time and chase each other around. That moment for me, I was like, oh, I love the 2 of you, and the 2 of you should be together. So I'm not someone who generally, the book's gotta be real bad for me to close it and not find out what happens at the end. I could literally not like the book and I will finish it.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
It's got to be real bad. Listen, when I commit, I commit.
Wow. I'm impressed.
I want to know how bad this train wreck was.
I'm in your camp too. Like, I will finish the bad book, but I'm sitting there making notes of like how I would have rewritten it, how horrible it is. Like, sometimes I find a really bad written thing or a bad movie more inspiring than a well-written thing, because I'm sitting there, it makes my brain go, could have done this way, could have done it that way. Brr, 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 brr.
But it also helps you realize what you don't like. I think we easily know what we like, but as you're going through something really bad, you're realizing, oh, I don't like that. And I don't like that for this particular reason.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just because I am a very critical person and hate almost everything?
Do you really see yourself like you hate almost everything?
Okay, no.
You've got an opinion on everything.
Right. Yes, that's it. I do have very strong opinions.
I see you as someone who's like, I'm not going to waste my time on something that I'm not thoroughly going to enjoy. Where
It's
I'm
true.
like, maybe a little masochistic. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to find my way till the end. I'm going to suffer the entire time and then bitch, moan, and complain about the situation that I just put myself in. That's the way it works for me.
Yeah, I think it's also a time constraint. I'm not going to waste my time on something I don't like. I really don't have the fucking time to spend on anything I don't like. So, yeah.
So we had amazing main characters in Sloane and Rowan. What did you think about the supporting cast? Because sometimes they're in there and I'm like, why the fuck are they even in this book? But what did we think? So who did we have as a supporting cast? We had Rowan's brothers.
Lachlan.
Meow, meow, meow.
And her best friend, Lark.
Yep.
And what's the second book about?
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited
June
for
cannot come fast
That's
enough.
right.
Oh my God. Yeah, it can't come fast enough.
So, okay, we had Rowan. He was hot, but like I found myself for Lachlan down the paragraphs. Because there was just something about him that I'm like, ooh, yeah, hot older brother.
Oh, yeah.
Works with leather.
Yeah. Can we talk about when he's introduced? Because it's such a good line. I had it highlighted.
Do it.
Oh my God. So the introduction to Lachlan is Lachlan runs Kane Atelier, his specialist leatherworking studio where he creates beauty from the skin of death. Oh my God, Brynne.
Meow, meow, meow.
Brynne.
So Lex, are you drawn to like the grumpy, dark, strong man.
Yeah. Grumpy Sunshine's my thing.
Oh.
Well, I mean, and you're also talking to someone with a mafia kink. So, like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Wait, did you not know this about me?
No, I didn't. Fascinating.
Really?
Oh, girl.
So you want a book where the mafia has a chef?
The chef for the mafia.
The chef for the mafia.
It's also just like is because I think it's a power dynamic kink.
Ooh.
Like
Yeah.
the Godfather and the respect that they all show him. Not that I think the Godfather's hot, but it's like the power of the mafia and that they control so much. It's like this power thing where I'm like, yeah.
Oh.
Exacting power. But it's also, it goes back to the skill kink too. What is it? Competency kink? It's a competency kink because you have to be very good at your job in Le Mafia to be the controlling family.
So you think Lachlan's in the mafia?
Well, at first I did, but then I think I was like, oh, maybe he works like sidebar for the FBI.
I think he works undercover for the FBI. That's what I'm hoping for.
Right. So, like, again, we have a competency kink. He works with leather. He works with knives. He works with sharp things. And he's a murderer. Whoa, that's hot.
I'm excited for book 2 because you're going to get that grumpy sunshine because Lark is all flowery and an indie artist and just sweet and light and bubbly. And then you'll have the darkness of Lachlan. So I am super excited to see what Brynne weaves towards that one.
Brynne Weaver.
Yes.
Is that her name? Did she do it on purpose?
Maybe. And then hopefully we'll get a little bit about what's happening with Sloane and Rowan within their life in the book.
I'm sure there's going to be that in the background.
There were no extra characters.
No.
There was no first and last name introductions, which I fucking hate.
You know, and it's funny because I was listening to a book the other day and it said the character's first and last name like 13 times. And I'm like, Birdie would have hated this.
Oh my God. I know that like listening people can't see me sitting here with my eyes closed, like literally rolling my eyes so hard, but like, fuck, I fucking hate that. It's not even that it's just like a pet peeve for me. It's just bad writing. It's just fucking weird. Like, why do you have to do that? Don't do that, writers of the world. Are you listening to me? God.
Please keep Birdie on your good side.
Thank you.
I also love the dynamic with the three brothers.
Oh, yes.
It is such a Boston boy dynamic. It made the world so real, you know, the way they give each other shit, but like they take a bullet for their brother.
And all three of them are kind of funny and they have their own quirks and they're all different.
I absolutely loved the origin story for Butcher, a.k.a. what's his name? Rowan. I forgot his name. Baby brain. I absolutely loved the origin story for Rowan. It relates back to his like really strong bond with his brothers because, and maybe I'm not remembering this super correctly, but like, did I gather this accurately that they had an abusive father, which is definitely a bonding thing for them. But then they killed him together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then they
that right.
left Ireland and on the plane, and Lachlan ordered 3 and Coach. And that's where the restaurant name
came from.
Oh, good. So good, Brynne. Such a good idea. Very clever. She created this whole dynamic. Like, sometimes I wonder, do writers ever think about like going into the restaurant business or something like this? Like, has Brynne ever considered opening a restaurant? Because her creative direction for the 2 restaurants, not 1, but 2 that she invents for this book is stronger than most restaurants that I go to.
Yeah.
I mean, like her concepts for the restaurants were fucking great and how they were like named based off of things that were private to Rowan, but they sounded cool.
Yeah.
3 and Coach and Butcher and Blackbird. So good. I want to go to Butcher and Blackbird.
You want it to be a real restaurant.
Yes. Maybe I'll find another hot husband
Yes.
who's a chef.
Husband number 2.
Yeah.
That's why
yeah.
choose.
Why
Well,
choose?
why choose? So, something we really enjoy within the books is the smut.
Something we really
Really
enjoy.
enjoy.
So we
Is
enjoyed
that
it
something
so
we
much
enjoy?
that is it? Oh my God, is this book smutty? I didn't even realize till I was reading it. Just fucking kidding. We made a whole podcast about it. Sluts.
How did you feel the pacing went within the book? Did you get enough smut? Was it just too little? Was it just right?
Well, after I was dragged through 68,000 fucking pages of just brimming tension, and she finally gave me what I wanted, it was great.
And then she gave it to you back to back.
Yes.
To
Yeah, she
back.
did.
I think, Birdie, you had made a mark that it wasn't till the 67% complete of your
Yeah.
book did you actually get cock in vagina or a mouth orifice.
Yeah. It was actually 68%.
See, now I love the slow burn.
Oh, I do too.
I love
Yes.
it. You know, give me all that edging, give me all that foreplay. And then it just gets dirty after that. It's perfect for me.
Absolutely. I
And
love
I see
the
you making
build.
that face.
I'm so annoyed. Like, they dragged it out for so long. They knew each other for, what was it,
3 years.
fucking years
Yeah.
before they
Yeah.
actually fucked. They were madly in love with each other from the first minute they saw each other, and they took 3 years. Okay, I mean, granted, I've actually had scenarios where I've been like kind of into a guy that doesn't live near me. So I get it how when you don't actually live in the same city or near the person that you're into, you may actually not see them for 3 years. Fair. Trying to give them credit because it is the real world that they're living in, theoretically. All right, fine. But like, 3 years. Fuck.
So put yourself in a real world dating scenario. Like it was 3 years, but they've seen each other. This would be like their 5th date
It's
in
true.
normal people terms when you think about it.
So Sloane's not a slut like me.
Nah.
No, she's not going to fuck on the first date.
And one of the things I think that's appealing about Rowan is he doesn't push her. Like
Right,
he keeps
right.
staying in her sphere.
Yeah.
He leaves that door open all the time, but like he's not doing these underhanded things to try and like convince her to sleep.
Oh,
with him.
come on. He's going in under the friend zone. He's like, oh, I'm going to be there. You see me? Hello. Here I am. I'm going to send you food. We're going to cook together while I stalk you from a tree across the street. If that is not love, I do not know what is.
Where's
so
the
cute.
line between, you know, romance, dangerous stalker?
Oh, it is real thin. It is real thin. Because sometimes people need that stalkerish affection and attention paid to them. So I think the difference is when you want the attention
Yes.
to when you don't want
That's
the attention.
exactly the
That's
line.
it.
That's
it.
the line right there.
Yep.
Yep. Because if she had said fuck off, he wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. But he knew better what she needed than she did.
Like, is
It's
it weird
so
that I think it
cute.
was so
No,
cute?
it was
Okay.
the way it's written, it's adorable.
Yeah. So, like, for people who haven't read the book, Rowan is a chef, as we've mentioned. He puts together these little grocery bags that are curated to be everything you need to cook a certain recipe. And he has them delivered to her house, which is in a completely different city. She's in, like, what, South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Raleigh.
He's in Boston. So he has actually gone down to Raleigh, and he's standing across the street watching the little kid that he's paid $100 to deliver the groceries to her. And she like looks around. She's like, what the fuck is this? And then he texts her and is like, hey, you want to make this like risotto together? And it's like the cutest thing.
And she's
well-
like, I can't fucking cook. Oh, don't worry, hon. I'll talk you through it.
Day one, iconic Parmesan orzo with asparagus.
So good. So good. So
with
good.
a baby's head worth of cheese.
You love that line.
I do. I don't know what it is because I'm picturing Sloane shredding the cheese and it is slowly looking like a baby's head.
I mean, it sounds like something you would say.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have a baby's head worth of cheese. I can just picture you saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I may incorporate it in my vernacular moving forward. It was that good.
Yeah. So it was really cute. They made a couple of meals together. Just so charming. She's all nervous to screw up the meal. He's eating like a granola bar while he's hiding across the street in the tree.
She didn't want to eat alone. He ate with her. Was he in the tree or behind the tree?
I think he's
behind
behind a
the
tree,
tree.
but I like saying in a tree because it sounds even funnier.
But my biggest concern is where the fuck are the neighbors?
Yeah.
Do they not notice this guy for 3 days loitering behind the tree?
Or it's so commonplace.
Yes.
That, like, they just don't even
Eating
see it.
salad
Fucking
on
Boston.
a cell phone. And now in North Carolina.
Oh, right.
Raleigh.
Yeah, Raleigh. Oh, right.
It would make sense in Boston, right? You're like, yeah, dude's just hanging
No.
by the fucking
Maybe she's
tree.
on a
Fucking
corner
weirdo.
of the street and behind it isn't like more houses, but it's like, wooded.
Even worse? Like, okay, what's worse? A guy standing behind the tree in a woods or the guy standing behind a tree that's like in between two houses?
I don't know.
I don't know what's worse.
I really don't know what's worse either.
Well, when they make it into a feature film, we'll see what they do.
Are they actually?
I don't think it's been optioned.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yet being the key word.
I mean, generally, when these things go as viral as they do, somebody picks up
Yeah.
the rights,
Yeah.
even if they
That's
don't
always
produce it for a
opportunity.
while.
Dear Hollywood, please make a book of this. I mean, a movie. You fucking dork. Please make a movie of this. It's going to be so good. It will have to be rated X. Thank you.
Not anymore.
No, so the streaming services have a bit more leeway. So I can still see this on a streaming service.
Give it to me.
Make it happen. So I have this really kind of off the wall question here. So as we're going through this, there's a lot of gore. There's a lot of death. They kill like a shit ton of people. I stopped counting
Bad
at
people.
5. Yes, let's be correct on that. No innocents were harmed in the writing of this book. But in your head, if one of them was going to get caught by the police or the FBI, who do you think would be the first to get caught?
Rowan.
Yeah.
Duh, the guy's a fucking mess.
He can't do anything without Sloan, can he?
He's so sloppy.
The reason why he hasn't been caught so far is Lachlan cleans up after him.
Oh, yeah. He needs Big Brother to clean up after him.
Brother.
So true. I kind of forgot about that.
Part of why I hurt him.
And Sloan is just so meticulous in
Yeah.
the amount of research she does as she goes after the bad people, the amount of work she puts in her hotel, pulling all the pieces together to make her artwork, which is basically a map for the FBI that the FBI doesn't even know that's happening because she's thinking in 19 different directions.
As we saw in one of the games, the guy that they go after has the restaurant and he invites him back to the kitchen and he wants to impress Rowan with his dinner. And this is a perfect example of Rowan's the one who ends up drugged, not in a good position.
Yeah.
And Sloane's like sitting there across the table, giving him the eye, like, don't drink the wine. Don't drink the wine. What the fuck are you doing?
And he's all like, she's looking at me funny. A fucking idiot. Fine.
I think
Fucking
that's
roofie
the-
yourself, dum-dum.
Perfect example of, yeah, Rowan's the one who's doing it.
Yeah.
Because I think out of the 3 legs of this yearly annual competition that they do, Sloan figured out why they were there twice. And the third one they knew because it was just a house in the middle of Texas with a chainsaw and a woman screaming. I mean, obvious to anybody who's standing in front of that house, bad person inside. But basically it was Sloan who was the brains of the operation. So yeah, Rowan's going to jail first.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
He's not dumb. He's just go with the flow, passionate, in the moment.
Yes.
He's not
Yes.
a planner.
Okay.
Right.
He's not
Right.
stupid by any
Mhm.
stretch of the imagination.
Which is what the fact that he's not a planner, I'm like, how has he not been caught yet? But Big Brother, you make a really good point.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about Big Brother element. Yeah, explains a lot. Can we talk about the moment that I was like, oh, are they going to get caught now because they're being stupid, lovey-dovey idiots?
Yeah,
When
go ahead.
they decide in the middle of chasing a chainsaw murderer that they're borderline about to fuck. Are ya fucking kidding
Well,
me?
first of all, they're not going to get caught because this ramshackle house was in the middle of nowhere, Texas.
You mean caught by the other murderer, not by the police, right?
Either they were going to be murdered by the murderer, or somehow, some way, somebody has called the cops at this point because there's a woman screaming and there's a chainsaw going off.
No, I'm with Joey on this. The house is in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So
Like 20
mean-
miles to the next neighbor, nowhere.
Acres.
Fine.
There's acreage
Yeah.
in between.
So, like,
Yeah.
if anything, they're being stupid idiots and there's a fucking chainsaw murderer running after them, and they decide that this is a really great time to make out, and we're having like a moment where he's all like, my hard cock like bursting at the seams of my zipper situation.
Well, there's something to be said about that adrenaline rush. Like, watch so many movies, read so many books, that adrenaline is coursing through you. You have an attractive person next to you. You're on the edge of losing life, and you're like, oh, just fuck me right now.
And
Fucking
the
ridiculous.
3 years of tension.
In the barn in Texas.
Not my chosen place, but hey.
This just made Sloane my most favorite person in the world, and I wanted to be her bestie. So she is so smart that they catch this chainsaw guy, right, who's a murderer. And as they had gone through the house, she saw the guy's mom dead, sitting in a chair, all just skin and bone and her teeth there. And
Nice little nod to
yeah.
Psycho.
And once they catch the serial killer and they have him down, she looks at Rowan and goes, oh, hold on. I need to finish him. She goes in the house, gets Mama's corpse and brings it out and haunts the serial killer with it.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. I was like, I would be that kind of serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those like really funny, like I laughed out loud moment. And
Yeah, that's good.
my partner was like, that funny, huh? I'm like, yeah, it was actually really good.
No, that scene was a epitome pinnacle of the beauty of this book. It has one of my favorite quotes because the guy kicks her in the face.
Oh,
And she gets the word Carhartt stamped into her forehead from his boot. And it cracked me the fuck up. And she's like, why couldn't he have just punched me in the face like a normal person? And Rowan's like, probably because he wasn't a normal person, love. I thought the chainsaw was a big clue.
Love the accent, by the
That's
way.
pretty
Well
good.
done.
I was trying. I was really trying.
done.
By the way, that's
That
going to be
was
my
so
Halloween
cute.
costume this year.
Carhartt on the forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute. Very cute. Oh, and she has some fun piercings you
Yep.
could do. Yeah. Good idea.
Oh, I'd
thank
like to see
you.
that play out.
Are you going to do the red velvet dress or the outfit that she's wearing when she gets kicked in the face?
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But I love those obscure costumes, and
Yeah.
2 people get it, but those 2
Right.
people are the coolest.
Those
you
are your new
immediately
pals.
know that they need to be your friend forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
get your obscure costume, you're like, oh, you're my kind of person, aren't you?
Totally.
You could wrap yourself in like spider webby webs, like you're the orb weaver, which is Blackbird is Blackbird, but Blackbird is also the orb weaver.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and Blackbird is Sloane, just in case nobody was tracking all of her nicknames.
We'll make a chart.
And Rowan is Butcher, aka
The Butcher of Boston.
Butcher of Boston, Massacre of Mass.
It's clever.
Ridiculous.
Brynne.
So
She's
speaking of that, if you were in this book and you were a serial killer, what would your FBI name be?
You just sprung that on us.
Yes, absolutely. Because it just came to me. I'm like, oh, if I was in the book,
Oh
what would they
my
call me?
God, that's so wow, what a great question. Fuck.
I know we're going to need a little time to think about this. So,
That's good.
listeners, we want you to chime in. Dames, think of your name so we can let our listeners know
Dames,
what we
think
choose.
of your names.
Yes. Please visit our social media pages. Make sure you go to our website. We want to hear, what would your serial killer name be? So there was so much action within this book, right? What did you think about the end? Was it too much? Was it too little? Or really was it just right?
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. We can't actually even talk about it.
No, we don't
No,
want to
I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, no, like, oh, the way it built and built and built. And then you're like, oh my God, you know, they're both going to live.
They have to
They have
live.
to.
They have to live.
The whole feeling of this book is not like a Debbie Downer kind of thing. So you know they're going to be fine. But like, My heart was pounding.
I love a plot twist that you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going through it, you're thinking it's one thing, and then this shit happens at the end. You're like, what the fuck? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming from a mile away, and it was so well done. I was like, I need to finish the end of this book. What happens?
I love that you texted me too, and you were like, there are now implements in the kitchen that I will never be able to use.
Oh my God. Yeah. Listen, I had no problem with any of the trigger warnings. I was fine with it. But there was one part in this book that happens towards the end that I'm listening to it, and all of a sudden my body temperature went up 10 degrees. I was like, fuck, did it just get hot in here? And I was walking towards the kitchen to make dinner, and I'm like, I opened the drawer and I'm like, oh, fuck. And I picked up the mandolin and I threw it away. I no longer have that utensil in my kitchen. I was having a guttural reaction to it. I was like, oh, this is bad.
I watch enough YouTube like cooking videos where I almost witness that happen on a daily basis, where people just like shave their fucking fingertips off. And so for me, it didn't do that because I am just used to that feeling always. And I really do see the value of a mandolin in a kitchen. So
I just won't ask you to help me prep like a veggie tart.
Well, yeah, maybe that's just because that's a fear of mine, right? That you're slicing, and then you slice the tip of your finger anyways. So something like that. Yes. Yeah, I know.
Is this why I had to buy you your first set of kitchen knives?
Yes, because that's always a fear of mine. Sorry, gotta go to the hospital. I got my finger in a baggie with ice, ready to go. Can you please reattach?
Well, my concern was maybe Rowan had gotten one of his beautiful tattoos fucked up.
Oh.
From the mandolin. I was deeply concerned about the artistry of his body getting destroyed.
Well, but that's a whole thing in tattoos, is like having them reworked sometimes because something's happened.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It is a living artwork.
Yeah. Scars are just sexy.
That is true.
They come with the story.
Oh,
that
yeah.
is true.
Yeah, and especially when you put it on a bad boy serial killer who kills bad serial killers. I mean, hotness factor just went up to 143 right there.
I love a bad boy. I always have loved a bad boy.
Somebody's grinning ear to ear here. Listeners, if you could just see Birdie's face right now, she is in heaven.
Oh, yeah, I'm such a dork.
I think Brynne did a really great job. She just left you on the edge of your seat. A beautiful, happy ever after at the end. So, last question before we move on to our hottest component of the book. If you were to give advice to someone who was about to go read this book, what do you think it would be?
Give yourself a weekend. Go grocery shopping, order in, whatever, set aside the time for you to just have fun with this book, because yes, you can read it in bits and pieces and there's something to be said for that, but like, do yourself good, give yourself a weekend and go have fun and just read this because it was a blast.
That's a really good recommendation. In hindsight, my recommendation for myself and therefore others would have been, well, I already talked about not eating when you first read the book, but secondarily, I actually think in order to really enjoy, like on a very deep level, this book, go ahead and either listen to the audiobook with the lovely Irish accent gentleman, or go watch a lovely movie of Irish origin or a couple YouTube videos with some great Irish accents and then read the book so that you can really be reading Rowan's like sexy Irish accent as you're reading it. Because I actually found myself rereading moments where I was like, oh no, I forgot to read his voice in my head with an Irish accent. Hold on, that could have been sexier. I'm going to reread it. I know.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So I think the Irish accent element of this book makes it like just a lovely icing on the cake, and you will just thoroughly enjoy it all that much more if you just really have a nice Irish accent going in your head.
My advice to someone who's going to read this book is even if you're someone who has a bit more of a delicate sensibility and some of this stuff kind of weirds you out, this is actually a really amazing love story in the whole thing. It's about two damaged people who just find each other, you know, figure out how to have a love and a romance and just a deep kinship and chemistry with each other. Because when you strip away all the weird pieces of the trigger warnings, this is actually a really kind of sweet story. You could kind of put it on the Hallmark Channel, couldn't you?
And it's like a fair partnership. They trade off on who has the power in the relationship. So it ends up evening out in the end. So sometimes one takes care of the other, vice versa.
But don't get me wrong, my friends. Daddy's got power in the bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Speaking of that, we had the opportunity to pick out a steamy scene within the book, and we're going to put it in a feature called Sexy Studs Reading Smutty Stuff. Get ready for this listen.
I drift closer still, push into her space. She resists the urge to sink deeper into the cushions as her breath hitches. My hand folds around her throat, one finger at a time pressing into her skin, her pulse like music beneath my palm. She shivers when my lips graze her earlobe. Because I'd bend you over my knee and spank that perfect ass of yours until it glows. And then, do you want to know what I do? She gives me a shaky nod, 3 uneven breaths. Yes, she whispers. I'll teach you a thing about wanting to come so badly you have to beg for it. My cock hardens as Sloane's blood surges against my fingertips. And once I was sure you'd learned that lesson, I'd teach you about wanting to stop coming so badly you beg for that too.
Such a good section.
And this wasn't even like a full-blown sex scene.
No.
This was the catalyst where they were just getting really close. And I got to...
This is Brynne telling us she's going to teach us about wanting.
Yeah.
I was listening to this and I broke out in chicken skin. AKA goosebumps. Because it's that bumpy skin. I was and with that Irish accent. Oh, is it a little warm in here?
Yeah.
Isn't it getting a little?
Oh my God. I know. I highlighted that section also.
Yeah.
So, are we ready to rate this book?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's start with the first category, romance. You can give it anywhere from 1 to 5 roses. 1 being this is like Hallmark movie, 5 being this is everybody's happily ever after. All right, Lex, let's start it off. Where do you rate it for romance?
Believe it or not, I gave it 5 roses.
What?
I know.
There is a soft little core in there.
I didn't want to give it away so fast. Yeah. I loved their romance. Like you said, it was sweet, but funny. And then, you know, you got the hot sex. Like, yes, total package. I was there.
Birdie?
Total package. So cute. Loved it. Felt like I was in high school reading their texts and giggling, the anticipation of hearing from him again. Oh my God. It was so cute.
Fuck yes with the 5, all the way. Their dynamic was absolutely adorable. I wanted to be there just watching them like a little fly on the wall. The way the anticipation built, how they felt about each other, how they built confidence within each other. I mean, it literally was a beautiful romance story. All right, next category, smut factor. You can give it anywhere from 1 raindrop, which is kind of like a little stream running in your backyard, to 5 raindrops, which is like Niagara Falls. Birdie, how dirty was it?
It was great. It was the perfect amount of dirt. It was, and granted, I know that I complained about having to wait till 68%. What was she thinking? But I'm going to go ahead and say that it was actually perfect. Like, it was just enough smut to the extent that it made you feel like you were not just reading a smutty novel, you were reading a book that also just happened to have some really fucking good sex in it. And I love a kinky book, and this had some kinks in it. Super fun. He's spitting cum into her mouth. What? It was great. Like, there's lots of fun stuff happening in here. It was smutty, and I'm into it. 5. All the Niagara Falls.
Oh. Lex.
Oh, you hit it on the head. Absolutely. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Ready.
It is a deluge. 5.
Ooh.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my God.
I think you just covered it. It's just going to be me saying what you said in a different way. You know me, and I love my slow burn. I don't want you to just like jump into it. Well, you can. It depends how you write it. Okay. But anyway, I love the slow burn. And yeah, the kink was good. It was varied. It built. I felt like it was really like how you end up starting a relationship and figuring out what each other's kink is. So it had everything there that I look for. Like you pointed out, very well written. You know, when people are writing smut and it's just poorly written, all of a sudden, like you make my head tilt to the side and go, what? What'd you say? Ugh, you made me stop for a second. All right, I think I can get back into this mood. Didn't have to worry about that with this book. It just, chef kiss.
Oh, 5 all the way. It's raining Niagara Falls. It is getting a little wet in the air. And I think that's what it was, is the build up, right? It was like a little bit building and layering it until you're like, fucking give it to me. And when she gave it to you, she gave you 40 pages back and forth and behind and to the front and to the side. And it was dirty and it was lovely. It was like 4 sex scenes in that 40 pages that almost were like, oh, that night, in the middle of the night, that morning, later that afternoon. And all 4 were different and they were discovering each other. And you're just like, this is hot. Thank you very much. Please be quiet. Everybody go away. I'm busy reading here. So that was wonderful. Storyline, plot, anywhere from 1 storybook, which is like you're reading Dr. Seuss, to 5, which is like War and Peace. Now, it doesn't have to be War and Peace, but, 5 would be super well written, really gets the point across, great plot, great characters, great chemistry. All right, let's start with Birdie.
So I want to cheat and be like 4.8 because I don't know what a 5 is really, but I mean, it was really well written. The only reason that I'm not just flat out saying 5 is because it didn't necessarily feel like it had a specific like style of writing. It was just modern. So it wasn't like I was reading like Isabel Allende, which like I'm not going to hold. And actually, I was just about to say, oh, I'm not going to hold a romance novel to that standard. But you know what? Actually, I am. So I thought it was really well written. I thought her vocabulary was great. I thought the story was well written. Everything. I thought it was pretty wonderful. But I also have read some really wonderful novels in my life. So I'm going to say 4.75.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Oh, Lex, I can't wait.
I love that you call it cheating, that you're like, I'm not going to quite give it a 5. I'm giving a 4. We know that's high for me. And that's just it. Like, part of it is 5 for me is I would have gone back and reread it immediately. I would have been buying copies for other friends and, handing it out to people on the T. But for all the things you said, and this is why I sometimes hate following you, because I'm like, yeah, I'm like you. I need it to be well written. I need good vocabulary. One of my deepest pet peeves is when somebody uses like the same word or phrase repeatedly in a novel. 50 Shades of Grey, my inner goddess. If I had to hear that one more fucking time, I was going to destroy something. Did not have that in this book. It was so well written. So I'm just going to gush and gush and gush some more. And I give it like very strong 4.
Well, and to each their own, because I'm going 5 all the way. For me, the character development, great. The anticipation, great. The passion was great. It kept me entertained. I wanted to read more. The minute I knew there were 2 other books, I already pre-ordered the second one. The entertainment value that I got out of this and the enjoyment just checked all my boxes. And that's why I read. It made me laugh out loud. Now, that is a lot to be said.
That is a lot.
I can find a book funny, but if I'm sitting there in the quiet listening and I'm laughing out loud, you have done something really, really well if I'm chuckling. So for me, this book was a 5. And I'll go back when book 2 comes out, which is in a couple of months from when we're recording this right now. And I'm going to have to go back and potentially read book 1 so I can remember what was in that before I go to book 2. It's the only way I can refresh myself. So listen, that's why I love doing this podcast with the 2 of you, because we're all coming into reading these books from such a different angle and what we will enjoy and what we want to talk about and the things that really hit all of our boxes for a check mark.
Oh my God, I just remembered something.
What'd you remember?
You were saying, what would you tell somebody? Make sure you read to the epilogue.
Oh, the epilogue is some of the best stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I got one word for you. Onesie.
What a great segue,
Oh
Lex.
my gosh.
Oh, why?
For one of our favorite games that we do here on the podcast called Dishing with the Dames.
Oh, yeah.
So this is an opportunity for the listeners to get to know a little bit more about us, the Dirty Dames. So we have this big old fishbowl of just random questions. And of course, if you haven't realized they're slightly a little dirty, then you've really tuned into the wrong podcast. So Birdie, why don't you pick a question out of the bowl?
Speaking of onesies, so there's a really great part in the epilogue where Rowan is wearing something fun in the bedroom. My question for you folks is, what is the most fun / kinky / memorable thing you've ever put on in the bedroom or had a partner put on in the bedroom for you? I will also answer. I'm not just putting the pressure on here. Nobody jump too fast here. I mean, listen, anybody that's going to listen to this who knows me is just going to hear probably too much and never think about me the same.
Exactly.
So this would be the point that we ask them to shut it off.
Yeah.
In case they don't want to know.
Mom, thanks for your support. You can shut it off now.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Okay, I'll rip the Band-Aid off. I'll be the first one to go. So I will have to admit that I haven't really been adventurous in the bedroom in the sense of a little role playing, a little bit dressing up, but I do have kind of a little bit of a funny. So a partner I was with got this really funky gag gift, which just happened to be one of those banana hammocks with an animal on it. And it happened to be an elephant that they received as a gift from somebody for their birthday.
Should be.
Good. So I'm imagining this gift that I got a chuckle out of when they received went into just the bureau and it would live there forever. Couple of months pass by, and lo and behold, we go out to dinner, come back, we're undressing each other, and he is wearing this thing just out of the blue, out of nowhere. And he thought it was the funniest thing. The intent and purpose was to surprise me. I peed my pants for at least 4.5 minutes because it was the funniest thing.
So he wore it out to dinner.
He
also
had it in his pants the entire time.
Great.
We're out in public having dinner.
Amazing.
And it was like, oh, he's in a little bit of a rambunctious mood tonight. Yeah, literally because his dick is shoved into the trunk of the elephant.
That was my
he
question.
is so ready for the reveal. And it's not like he undid his pants, dropped trow, and was like, ta-da! He waited for me to find it. He's like, I have a treasure for you. I laughed for 5 minutes. I made him take it off, and then I threw the thing away. I know. I was like, this is bad.
Oh my
This is
God.
bad.
But what about in another 2 years when you've forgotten about it? And you can have that moment of laughter all over
Happy
again.
anniversary.
I really wanted you to say that he had a moment where he shook his dick around and was like,
yeah. If you knew this guy, that's exactly what he did do.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's solid.
The shit-eating grin on his face.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is happening? He's like, oh, yeah. You ready? It even spurts water.
Wow.
That's good.
That is
Yeah.
That's good as birth water.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that.
Are you going next?
Sure.
I'm dying to hear what you have to say.
Why? Because I've been turning red since
Yes,
the question
absolutely.
came out.
Can't wait.
Well, okay. So it's no secret that we've done cosplay and things like that out in the world. So that means we have a closet full of costumes. It's a big ass closet. So, we've gone everywhere from schoolgirls to Batgirl. But the most memorable was actually my partner dressing up for me. One of the things that I used to really have a thing for that is not as much anymore, but motorcycle cops.
Okay. Okay.
Sure.
So my partner used to be in retail, and a frequent customer at his store was a motorcycle cop. So he was like, dude, my partner's really got a thing for this. Can I get a uniform? He's like, no, you really can't. That's impersonating a police officer.
Right.
It's illegal. And he's like, but some guys have lost a lot of weight and they're getting rid of.
Oh my gosh. He was able to get his hands on
He wasn't able to get his hands on the full uniform, but he got his hands on the pants, which have the like little things up front.
Oh.
Yeah, so he surprised me with that when I came home from work one day, and I was like, what the fuck? He had the boots and the pants.
Oh my God.
Damn.
And he had found a shirt that was like enough.
Yeah.
It looked like.
Yeah.
So
That's fun.
but he tried to get authentic.
Yeah. Did he pull you over?
Did he read you your rights?
Oh yeah. So
Did you get gagged? You have the right to remain silent. In fact, you will be silent.
Yeah.
Meow, meow, meow.
let's just say there was some resisting arrest.
Oh. Time to pat you down, lady. You've been bad. Damn.
That's fun. That's very fun.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
You're welcome.
Honestly, it's so funny that when you're saying that, you're all like, yeah, there was like schoolgirl. And I was like, well, my shit's blown. I went to a private Catholic high school, so I totally had the full uniform.
Oh, authentic.
So it's very authentic. And my high school boyfriend at the time was a year older than me. He was off in college. So this isn't necessarily me like dressing up for like the actual act itself, but I dressed up in my uniform, you know, skirt rolled up a million times.
Of course.
No underwear.
Woohoo!
Braids, the works. I took photos and sent them to him.
Oh.
Printed. And he would keep them in his hat because he was at West Point Military Academy.
Oh. Damn.
So there was a photo of me with my coochie out in
Nice.
his hat at all times. And that was a thing. Like all the guys had pictures of their girlfriends
Yes.
like in their hats. And apparently mine was a really good photo.
That's
You
so
had
excellent.
the highest rating at
Yeah,
West
yeah.
Point.
Yeah, I was like, wait, you showed that photo of me to other people? And then I was like, well, what did they say?
Did it go missing a couple times?
I know, right? I know. God, part of me is like so mortified, but part of me is like, okay, here's the worst part about it. My mom totally found the photos.
Oh, that's kind of embarrassing.
Have I been more mortified in my life? I wanted to die.
I can only
And
imagine.
she said,
And she said, we are not going to tell your father.
Go, Mom. I knew I liked your mom for a reason.
She was basically just like, you know, this is before things could go viral, but she was
Yeah.
basically like, you don't want these to get in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Which, fair enough. Smart lady. It could have been really bad.
Some fun stuff. So that just brings us to our last ranking overall rating. Anywhere from 1 eggplant to 5 eggplants. There needs to be no explanation on the eggplants. All right, Birdie, where you rating this book? Are you recommending it to everybody you know?
Yeah, I think it's a really strong recommendation. I mean, based on the fact that I gave like 2 5s and a 4.75 so far, I think it's like, you know, what is it? An average of a 4.85? So, or maybe a 4.9. Yeah, it's great. Overall, like, awesome book. Got me very excited to read more books. Would highly recommend it. Yeah. Can't wait.
Fantastic. Lex.
yeah. So you've ruined me for the podcast. Everything else has to meet this bar.
Oh, shit.
So, you know, 5, what'd I say, 4? So
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It's got to be, you know, 4.75.
Yeah.
Eggplants,
Great job, Brynne Weaver.
you know.
What say ye, Joey?
Oh, I'm giving it a 5 all the way.
Yeah.
Listen, I ugly cried my way through a half a
Aw.
box of tissues. I laughed so hard I almost peed my pants.
Aw.
So, and it was just a great story for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is my cup of tea. For me, it's a 5. Brynne, you did an amazing job. If you want to be besties, please slide into my DM. I will drop these two. We can commiserate over cocktails and talk about all the fucked up shit together. Like us, love us, hit all the buttons, tell your gynecologist about us. Tell your librarian about us, the lady on the T.
The dude on the T.
The dude on the T.
Dude on the T.
But thank you for listening. We appreciate you joining us for our first episode, and I think that's all she wrote.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.